Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Knows Need on Twitter. You can find CB Caps on Instagram. You can find Comic Book Chronicles on Blue Sky.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough of Kings, coming at you live and direct. We know you might be ready for some football, but thanks for joining us either right now live or soon to be posted via the podcast.
Cook and roll with the Brooklyn boys, so for one last time I need y'all to roll.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed. And you can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Yeah, so folks, we're going to get right into things. No Peacemaker this week because of the reasons that we've had for the last couple of weeks, and that it's because it's Thursday night and it's basically, starts before we start to record. We'll get to it next week. So we'll get to episode 3
It's
next
literally
week.
playing as, we can't start it early enough to actually get it in before we start recording. So
Yep. So therein lies that. But we will be getting into books of the week, starting off with what the
I was about to say we could talk Peacemaker episode number 2 if you want.
no, because we already talked about it, and I honestly don't remember.
That's
much
true.
of it.
I did touch on it because I had a chance to watch it. So
Right. So it's moot at this point. But like I said, we're gonna get it into the books of the week with Batgirl number 11.
alrighty, Batgirl number 11, published by DC, is written by Tate Bromble with art by Takeshi Miyazawa, colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Tom Napolitano, another lettering Python. So, what I commented upon in our pre-show, pre-production meeting was that, one of the new characters that has been recently introduced into Batgirl during this arc, post traumatic events involving Lady Shiva, started off as annoying and seems to be on his own journey, his own quest to become less annoying. And so far Tate Bromble is making this character less annoying, and I applaud him for that. Good for him. So it's kind of fun still to see Cassandra Cain in a slightly different role, but I think it's still kind of the same role that she takes on with the other Batgirls, but it's still slightly different. It's good to see her obviously taking on this journey of finding self in different ways. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Right. It's kind of not amusing, but it's kind of interesting because, as we've said before, because of what happened to Lady Shiva in this book in relation to the other book that she was fairly recently in, you kind of wonder if that was indeed her bowing out of things. But as we've also stated, there are Lazarus pits if she needs to be used, and I suspect because of something that came up here. I mean, that came up in this issue could be employed. If it comes to that, but right now we just kind of have it is what it is, and yeah, we have Cassandra Cain. You know, just not necessarily she was pretty much phased last issue because of finding out that she has newfound family, but now she's kind of settled into things, and this new sibling is no short of confidence for certain, kind of like her mother. So it's kind of amusing if that's ever gonna get or excuse me, their mother, but if that's gonna come out. But that being the case, we find ourselves somewhat going Cass and this new sibling Jade Tiger going on a quest, because in this issue they get presented with not only one but two separate offers for things to go with things, but it seems like they're choosing one that came in at the end, and see where that goes. And even for their troubles, been given quest items, or maybe not quest items, but implements to use on their quest. Let's just say, if we want to keep that analogy rolling. And actually, one of the offers comes from a cousin, which had me saying, "What, cousin?" But you know, there's again parts of whole swaths of the DC universe, much less the underworld part, that I don't know that much about. So it's like, okay, sure, that is what it is. Because from what we found out a couple of issues ago, it seemed like all of that was kind of everybody got wiped out, but apparently that's not entirely the case. So
Right. I mean, what made me kind of chuckle was the idea that, well, the Bloods and the Crips actually do exist in the DC universe, just in different forms.
Right, basically. So it's like, sure. Of course, I mean, we know that they were, the folks had beef with each other, but it's but this is basically taking it in the way Agent 70 just said. So yeah, that was pretty apt. But yeah, it was a good read. Obviously, art, but that's not even obviously. Takumi is always art, still great. So it's not, no surprise there.
It's the main reason I picked up the book initially. When I saw that Takumi Miyazawa was on this run of Batgirl, that is what prompted me to pick it up and start reading it. So I'm definitely a fan, and I'm pleased with the art on this book, and the writing has gotten me this far.
Right. Yeah. On my end, I was like, you know what? Cassandra Cain is kind of a cool character from what I have seen of them, but it's like I don't know too much about them, and I think she's had like, well, no, maybe this might have been her first solo. I could have sworn she had maybe a solo book previous to this, but I don't know that for certain.
I'm pretty sure, but it's been a long time. I want to say she's been around for a good 20 plus years. So
At this point,
she's had at least one other, if not more, solo runs.
Right. You hear that, DC? If you want to give us access to that resource of yours where we could look this stuff up archival wise, then hey, that would be great. But no, you won't do that. And yes, we know there are wikis out there, but still. Either way, they don't always go into that kind of minutia. Still, Batgirl number 11, pretty cool read, and I'm still, like Agent 70 said, I'm also still kind of here to see, what's going on with this. So it is kind of funny. There was a kind of reference to being invited to the cookout in this issue. I was like, all right, that was amusingly done. Very good, very good. Anyway, next up though, we are going to go to insert soundbite here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 11.
Heroes in a Half Shell. Exactly. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2024 issue number 11 is published by IDW. It's written by Jason Aaron with art by Juan Ferreira and letters by Sean Lee. So what I'll say is it's about time. It's about time. 11 issues into this run. There are still a few questions left to be answered, right? Like, who the hell is talking to them and because now apparently April's in on that act of talking to someone who may not be around really, but we'll see.
Right.
That's a mystery and question left to be answered for another day. But when I say finally, it's about time. It's the brothers finally get their collective acts together, and act collectively.
For the moment.
Whereas, up until now, there's been a lot of pushing and pulling in multiple directions, but they finally figure out how to, act, synergistically.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I feel like it's maybe not a trope, but the defense that they put on, that the turtles put on, kind of ad hoc, because it just sort of appears to them
Right.
from the crowd, is very much. I felt like Jason Aaron had pulled and had been influenced by something else in pop culture. Uh, I felt like I had seen that before on multiple occasions. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
It was amusing seeing that because I was kind of curious as to how you would take to that the way that happened, because I would assume that's not a thing that would happen, one
Hell
regular
no!
or
But in terms
actually
of in
right.
terms of procedures, it's completely bonkers. But I feel like I've watched multiple either TV shows, maybe not movies, but definitely TV shows that presented similar scenarios of people kind of barging in and being presented one after the other.
So on a very much a side note, I would really love to see you play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney video game. I'm not saying you would, whether you would like it or not is a side effect, but the way they handle courtroom proceedings in there, I could see you have I could see you have thoughts about, put it that way.
I believe it.
Yeah, but it's a good series. If the folks out there who know what I'm talking about, know what I'm talking about. But it definitely plays fast and loose with things, and plus it's not necessarily how proceedings would happen.
I was about to say it has to, because life in a courtroom is fairly mundane for the most part.
Right, and not only that, it's kind of a take on a. While obviously being localized for here because it's a Japanese game or a Japanese series, but the proceedings takes place in a Japanese courtroom for a good bit of it.
Right,
but
right.
but also feels
Honest,
like
yeah.
go
I
ahead.
was about to say, to be perfectly honest, I felt like one of the more accurate, jokey depictions of any sort of court was Night Court, because a lot of Night Court is actually fairly accurate.
Right.
Having been in Night Court before, that's pretty accurate.
Right. Yeah, sad that that reboot got canceled, but because from what I've seen of it, it was actually still in line with the old show. But yeah, Night Court was a classic, was and is. So that being said, though, what was I gonna say about this issue? So a couple of things happened in this that was kind of amusing, because we have this D.A. Hale character who, if you read him a certain way, plays like someone out there with let's just say not a lot of sense, but a lot of a modicum amount of power to them. And I say that slightly tongue in cheek because but that being said, and he kind of goes full blown at the end of this because of what happens during the proceedings, but that is something you can read for yourself to find out. Wow. But like I said, what I just said, if you read them a certain way, it's kind of amusing. It's like, yeah, you can definitely see who they took notes from, who Aaron kind of took notes for this character. but I was also kind of expecting a certain situation to go slightly different than the way it ended up going at the end of this book. But actually not also that far off, because there was parts of some things that is going on in this book that I was not familiar with. And I don't know if that's something that's like something started from the previous volume of the book, or is that something that's just been cooking up in this volume that they haven't really fully addressed yet with a character, with the leader of a certain, Turtles adversary, let's just say, and it's not the one you would normally think of, because that person is not in the picture. At least not right now, because if that other book is in the negotiation, I guess they might be back. We don't know. Regardless, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 11 is actually a potential click of the week for myself.
Nice.
It was a pretty good read. And unless you got something else to add, Agent 70.
No, I liked it too. I think it's a candidate for click of the week for myself too.
Gotcha. And with that, we'll push on to the last book that we have in common, which is Avengers number 30.
Avengers number 30 is written by Jed MacKay, with art by Fareed Karami, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So this issue starts with a kind of cool guest appearance that reminds you that these teams are sharing the same planet, sharing very much some of the same circle of members. Up until recently they really hadn't, but they really have kind of had a lot of crossover, over the last, let's say, 10 years, even 15 years. We're talking about the Uncanny Avengers and the Unity Squad and all that stuff. And now that we have one of the big X characters being an active Avenger, it definitely solidifies things, the links. And so what we have is are the Avengers kind of on an away mission to kind of follow up on a couple of leads, and one lead that they were following up on is where this lost moment in time. I feel every time I think of this particular concept, all I hear in my head is Whitney Houston singing "Give Me One Moment in Time," right? Because every time I see them mention it, I'm like, well, I hear Whitney, and we're bringing in a couple of different concepts here. We're bringing in some Secret Wars, not the OG Secret Wars, but the Hickman Mumbo Jumbo Secret Wars, and that's obviously part of MacKay's overall story. We even get a cameo appearance by an Avengers character who, I best remember this character as being kind of a throw-in during the Hickman Mumbo Jumbo, like kind of the expanded roster run for the Avengers. I know that they took this character in multiple directions because I think there were multiple versions of this character from multiple realities.
A couple, yeah.
Running around in the 616, if I'm not mistaken. So I was kind of, it's all kind of, MacKay playing with a lot of the Hickman toys that he had pulled out of the toy chest during the Hickman expanded Avengers roster run. And so, we all find ourselves back kind of where we started at the end of this issue, right? The beginning of this run is kind of, we've kind of come full circle. And it's definitely one way to look at it, and we'll see where we go from here. But the reveal at the end of this issue takes us full circle.
Yeah, and also if you think about it a certain way, not surprising, because in fact probably could have picked up on it well before, and probably have picked up on it well before now, honestly. Given things, but yeah. So sometimes I enjoy things like this because it's like, well, one, Jed McKay, as we've said before, playing with his toys because he is writing both Avengers and X-Men, and there was that, that point where, and yeah, what's up, Von Gloom? I'll get to that point in a second. There's these points where McKay has where it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna drop this right here. Maybe I'll come back and do something with it. And sure enough, here is that moment, because there was a point where the Avengers and the X-Folk, specifically the Uncanny X-Folk, kind of got together, had a meeting and whatnot.
Oh no, this is not the Uncanny X-Folk. These are the adjective lists.
Excuse me. You're right. Yes, you're right. This is yes, adjective list. You're right. But yes, where these two teams kind of met up and basically did the Dylan Dutch Predator shake at the end of the issue, and be like, yeah, we're here for each other, and like I said, and that was a while ago. So here we are, kind of circling back around to that, to where the X-Folk come into play for reasons that you can read for yourself. But as Agent 70 says, while the Avengers are on an away team, and as Von Gloom in the chat says, yes, we do. While we do end up going back to Battleworld, it is not the good parts of Battleworld. It is zombies. Had to be the zucking zombies, as he says. Welcome in, Von Gloom, by the way. So, yeah, I'm not crazy about zombies in real life. So the Marvel zombies is one that that's just a personal thing for me. So it's my opinion on it does not matter. It would have been great if we had, I don't know, seen Thor's again, because we bring that book up every chance we get, or at least I will.
Right.
But the fact that Jed McKay brought in that character that Agent 70 mentioned a little bit ago was like, okay, that was kind of unexpected. And even though, yeah, he's used it a couple of times as well, but at the same time, it kind of brings you back to, you know what, we got a couple of these type folks running around this universe, but also this particular person was from a parallel universe originally, but quote unquote adjacent to the 616, because they had done a lot of time back in the past, right. In this universe. But then to find out that there was another one that was actually in universe that ended up being the case, and whatever they did with this, like they've had a couple of things like that happen over the years, and kind of bring it back in the last probably like 10, 20 years. It's like, so wait, so where did this version come from? And is this the 616 one, or is this one from another parallel universe, or whatever the case may be? So it's like, this stuff kind of comes up in places that we don't always read, but it's like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever. So, but it was still kind of funny to see this character. It's like, okay, wait, so is this character still? Like, I vaguely remember the thing that the character mentioned about owing the Avengers one. You know what I'm saying? Because it was that long ago, or long enough ago to be like, so now what happened? What was the whole situation with that again? But all right, sure, here we are. And at first, before they brought him on the screen, it was like, okay, so the X-Men reacting to them, so it must be somebody X-related, X-folk related, and I guess technically kind of wasn't. So their reaction to it was like, okay, sure. I didn't expect y'all to react to this character, so that I didn't know whether y'all had that much of an interaction with ever,
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like nitpicking, but it's not. It was just like things you kind of think about as you're reading stuff nowadays with this stuff. But hey, here's we're on Battleworld, and the Avengers are here, and I do love the whole Avengers roll call kind of situation that they had going on here. It's just another pretty good read, as it tends to be.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got a kick out of McKay, obviously referencing a little bit of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm-hmm. I knew you were going to catch that.
I also got a little bit of a kick out of, I'm like, oh, we got to make a little bit of use. Thankfully, Falcap has a little bit more wherewithal to himself now with the super suit that he's gotten from the city. so that he can actually do a little bit of taking the lead.
Wait, does he have the suit on? I thought he did
He
not.
absolutely does.
I did not pay attention to that.
He absolutely does. That's like a new Marvel Legends figure right there. And he can take the lead and use the shield as like the uh the way to lead the charge, as it were.
Mm.
Into the depths.
I'll look back on that later. It's not that important right now, but yeah. That's Avengers 30. So like it continues to be good stuff. Coming out that. Oh, and spoiler alert, which it was not spoiler alert because I'm not going to tell you who it is, but we get a reveal at the end. And actually, we kind of mentioned it, but yeah, we get a reveal at the end, and you shouldn't, if you've been reading comic books long enough, and this particular volume of the Avengers, you shouldn't be that surprised about who it is.
Nope.
At all. So yeah. That being said, that is all the books that we have in common. Rapid fire.
Alrighty, rapid fire review time, folks.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Here we go, rock and roll. First up is Batman #1 from DC. I cannot tell you why they couldn't give this another adjective, because we already have an adjectiveless Batman that Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb are working on. So, I cannot imagine what it's like to be kind of, OCD collector and trying to figure out how to put your collection together and which volume this is. I'm sure they're going to issue volume numbers to these at some point, and you just gotta keep them in order. Batman #1 by DC, the new #1 this week, is written by Matt Fraction with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tomo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. It's set in the current DC timeline, and it's, at least from the back matter that we got with the book, that these stories are kind of self-contained, but will be building upon each other. So it's not one continuous overall story per se, but rather a bunch of done-in-ones that continue to build on what happened before as well. So that is Fraction's idea for this book right now, and we'll see how that goes. This is actually a pretty entertaining first issue. It's definitely not as wonky. I've been a lot of people have been having trouble with Hush 2 right now. And I can tell you that this reads very much like a very good Batman story. So I'll give it a lot of credit for that. Some kudos to Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez. So this is actually a sleeper candidate. I mean, listen, I just did a fantasy football draft yesterday, so this is a sleeper candidate for Click of the Week for me.
Before you go to the next one, Funk Loom has a question in the chat. Also, welcome back to the Big Two Fraction. He says, Von Gloom says, I was confused by Croc. Yeah, when was he ever?
This is a new development. This is a new development, right? It's part of the story. It's part of, there's a little bit of exposition in the middle of the story that kind of explains how Killer Croc has gotten to this point. And, at the end of the day, that's really, that should be enough to clear up any confusion that you might have on Gloom. So there is some exposition towards the front of the issue that helps to explain that, especially with the doctor character. That's really the part that you need to focus upon, because I think this is a rather new development.
Okay.
Alrighty. Next up is Amazing Spider-Man #11. Believe it or not, this is Legacy issue number 975. And we've got a bunch of stories in this book. Let me go through all the credits as in as organized a fashion as I can. Story number 1 is written by Joe Kelly with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz. Story number 2 is written by Joe Kelly with art by Pepe Larraz, colors by Marte Gracia. Letters for both stories 1 and 2 are by VC's Joe Caramagna. Story number 3 is written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Pere Perez. Colors are by Maury Hollowell. I'm going to presume that Joe Caramagna does the lettering throughout. Story number 4 was written and with art by Lee Gatlin, and story number 5 has writing and art by Jason Liu. So very quickly, the first story has a big reveal in it. We find out who this substitute Spider-Man is. We also find out who this substitute Peter Parker is, because story number 2 tells us where Peter Parker really is. And that was actually a pretty interesting departure from the stories that have been told to this point in Amazing Spider-Man. Story number 3 is, a side character story, that kind of follows a previously introduced character on his latest adventure, and the rest are, smaller stories that help to fill out this big anniversary issue. It was a pretty, there were plenty of reveals in this issue that helped to make it pretty entertaining, and to keep us wanting more. So this is also very much a sleeper candidate for Kliq of the Week for me. Doctor Strange number 450 is next. Again, with the complicated but important details here. Story number 1 is written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Lee Ferguson and colors by Carlos Lopez. Story number 2 is written by Ashley Allen with art by Ig Guara, colors by Fabi Marquez. Story number 3 is written by Roger Stern with art by Ron Lim and colors by Israel Silva. Story number 3 has writing and art by Christian Ward. Story number 4 is written by Derek Landy with art by Ivan Fiorelli and colors by Dono Sanchez Almara. In this book, we are definitely assured that the letters throughout are by VC's Corey Petit. Yeah, this is a different Doctor Strange book because it definitely has, it's almost like an annual, right? Because what's funny is that it's a weird time for an issue like this because Doctor Strange is in a new job, in a new world, basically, because of the events of Doctor Strange in Asgard, right? So it's kind of a good time and a weird time to get a book like this because there's plenty of Doctor Strange stories to kind of fill in some of the gaps, maybe even retcon some of the things that we know or that we thought we knew about Doctor Strange, and that I felt was most of the focus of this issue. But it's a nice little anniversary issue, and it was a pretty good read throughout, right? I liked that the tone that each story took was relatively lighthearted. Sometimes we need that. And that's it for Doctor Strange number 450. Next up is Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu number 12. It's written by Jed McKay with art by Domenico, there's a little typo here, Domenico Carbone, with colors by Rochelle Rosenberg and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So this is actually not a sleeper pick for Kliq of the Week. This is a real candidate for Kliq of the Week because Moon Knight, the previous issue of Moon Knight, closed the story, the big story that had Mark Spector kind of brought to his knees by this Asgardian who had done so much to hurt Moon Knight at his very core, had done so much to take away what he had built over the course of not this run, but also the previous run. The recent era of Moon Knight and the Midnight Mission has proven to be a pretty strong group of stories, and to have this previous character, Fairchild, come in and knock it all down was pretty disappointing and a little disturbing. Just this, because the hope was that this concept, this Midnight Mission, and this group concept around the Moon Knight would continue, and it has. What's great about this issue is that it picks up on a particular plot point from the recent run, the recent story, that is, of Moon Knight, and picks that up and takes a character who is not weak enough to be a jobber, but silly enough to sometimes act like one to like certain characters, right? Certain characters, of a certain power level will treat this particular character as a jobber. If you're familiar with the wrestling terminology, it's someone who always loses, right? But this story has like a fun little twist on this character, and so it's really strong. The story is really strong. As a opening issue to an arc, it's actually a fun read, and I definitely endorse this as a potential Click of the Week candidate. Last but not least is Uncanny X-Men number 20. It's written by Gail Simone, with art by Luciano Vecchio, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this issue of Uncanny takes us on not a buddy cop, but definitely a buddy trip between with Ransom and Wolverine, as we kind of explore some of Ransom's background from Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, and Buenos Aires. So that's essentially the next this next story arc. So it's still got plenty of great characterization. I think that that Uncanny, especially lately, by Gail Simone, has contained the strongest X-Men stories that are being told right now. That's just my humble opinion. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
All right. Von Gloom in the chat says, Jobber, Pace Pot Pete, Stilt Man?
On the other side, D-Man. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's had to add something to that one, because let's face it, we all know. For myself, we're going to start off with a little bit of Absolute Green Lantern, written by one of our favorites, Al Ewing, art and colors by Janoy Lindsay, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. How far out is the world that's coming? That is the question that keeps getting asked in this issue of the book. We do get some answers, not necessarily about that. Well, we guess we do kind of get answers about that, but we do get some answers that we've been looking for in the course of this book. And some would say it's likened to some mumbo jumbo, let's just say. Also, let's face it, when there are colors in the DC universe and mixed together, that is pretty much mumbo jumbo anyway. So let's face it, Hickman's not the one who's led the pack on that one, but he's certainly one that we tend to go to with that kind of stuff. But that being said, like I said, answers are being gotten. We get some new players in the game, one of which may have some connection to one of the characters in the book. Actually, it's not even a may. They definitely do have a connection to one of the characters in the book. But we also see a couple of, well, at least one other Lantern adjacent character come into the fold in a different light that, as far as I know, we've never seen them but this is the absolute universe and not the DC universe. So they're playing with them just a little bit. Whether we see that character again, we probably will. I don't think Ewan would have introduced them to just let that be that. But we've also seen references to other Lantern adjacent stuff that that hasn't come back into the fold and probably won't, especially after what happens to in this issue. Like I said, so there's a whole lot of ooze going on as well, much to the chagrin of some character that I'm not entirely sure that I'm certain this is a character that's probably well within the DC universe, but I don't know them, and their name is Hector Hammond, so that name might be familiar to some folks, not to me. But yeah.
Yeah, the name rings a bell. It should mean more to me, but it's late at night, so.
Sure. So yeah, Absolute Green Lantern, still pretty good read. Like I said, the answer we got pretty much also brings up some more questions on a couple of things, but I would imagine we will get those. We'll get the answers to those at some point. Next up is Birds of Prey number 25, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Cliff Richards and Sammy Basri, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So, at the start of this book, it's kind of amusing because we get a little bit of an aside with Big Barda, and Batgirl doing a little construction work before it cuts back to, basically cuts back to what happens after the end of the last issue when, Barda being none too pleased about seeing a character that is, held her against her will, kind of come to the team for help or for something. But we also get a little bit of backstory as to what's going on with that character who comes from, let's just say, Beyond. And not the Marvel version of Beyond. So there you go. Or at least this is probably a character probably more closely associated to Beyond, let's just say. But with that, this character kind of comes to them, and they're still trying to find out how to deal with this whole Shadow Army situation. They get a little bit of help on that. There's a one brain cell comment in here, which I feel like I've seen in a couple of different books in the last couple of weeks. So I know that whole thing is permeating every bit of existence. So, before the birds go into this mission that has something to do with tech, drugs, and a game, they basically start playing Sims, Create a Sim. For a couple of minutes before doing some drug testing that kind of doesn't seemingly go well at the end of this book. And also, there's someone else that's calling Batgirl Little Bat outside of Barda. So she hasn't been made aware of that already. What's up, Benji Games 2? Good to see you, sir. Next up, though, I know Von Gloom was just asking about this, and of course I did not pull the sound bite up, but I'm sure I will have some editing to do. Silverhawks number 7, written by Ed Brisson, art and colors by George Cambadias, letters by Jeff Eckleberry. So at the beginning of this, we see someone take a hit to the casino, which causes the proprietor, which is someone associated with Monstar, to kind of be slightly miffed because they're paying for protection and this happened out of the blue. So that kind of gets called up. Meanwhile, Stargazer meets this prince that the team had met last issue, who brings them an offer of help and some information, which of course, doesn't necessarily get the initial trust that you would think it would, but at the same time, it makes sense that they would be kind of mistrustful of information just coming right into their laps on how to or where to deal with Monstar. which is the ongoing thing. And then we also get a little bit of, a little bit with Monstar and his people, who may or may not know what happened, what's going on with, with the initial attack in his book, or in this in this issue. So yeah, a couple of things going on with into this. And outside of that, we get Hot Wing. Hot Wing is still in the picture and with the group, not basically in the place of Copper Kid, but Copper Kid's kind of still around, and I guess they hadn't really done anything on that front yet. So, but we do start seeing Hot Wing kind of having, conflict about things. And again, like I said, the last time we talked about Civil Wars, that's probably going to come up at some point fairly soon. But to answer Von Gloom's, answer your question, still liking the Silverhawks. There's, they're doing some things that, if you have a fairly working knowledge of the cartoon, you're like, is this a thing that happened, or am I tripping, or is this new information? And more than likely, you can pretty much go ahead and say it's new information, because as we've said before, the shows never really gave us that much background. They were just like, here's the team, here's what they do, go. Adventure time. So, getting into any kind of story about them personally, or, leading up to, is not a thing that we had ever gotten in any cartoon, or many cartoons of the past, I should say. So, but yeah, still a good read, checking it out, and we'll see what's going on with this Prince thing, who, like I said, brings them an offer to help out, and some stuff to help out with, because they have an investment in the Monstar getting taken care of, let's just say. Next up, let's see, ThunderCats Lost #6 is my next book. Also written by Ed Brisson, with art by Rafa Labasco, colors by Rashan Curitiano and Arancia Studio, with letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So we get back to the crew, as we have already got to where, what happened with Bengali within the pages of last issues, and what's going on in ThunderCats proper, or the ThunderCats main book, I should say. Getting back to the old crew and them following up on Bengali's trail. After that, they still can't stay out of trouble, because they still have the people after them, but they also meet up with a fairly familiar crew from mid to later series. Actually, they might have been there earlier on. ThunderCats, that they meet on the high seas. And if you know anything enough about ThunderCats, you know who I'm talking about, who that might be. So, and they find themselves in a familiar situation, as they have been during this whole run, in that being, caught, imprisoned, and having to figure a way to get out of things, which seems to be their lot in this book. But, as so tends to happen, one of them seems to has an idea of how to handle things, or at least they all have a sense of how to handle things, given the trouble that they're in right now, and goes to enact a thing at the end of this book. So whether that's something that's going to be where they bow out, or not, we shall see. But on the other side of that, the people that are pursuing them kind of had a little chat with each other, and we kind of find out who the real power is behind that dynamic. So that's something that I suppose you could have probably gathered, but you did not know right off the bat. Lastly, for myself, I guess Spider-Man, Radioactive Spider-Man. We get Spider-Man 94 #1, written by J.M. DeMatteis, art by Jim Toe, color artist Jim Campbell, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So as I say in my notes, I clearly don't remember what happened at the end of Spider-Man 94. Or even halfway through, now that I'm thinking about it. I know we've had this conversation before, but there's some folk that come into play here, that one of which I remember being there early on, but I don't remember if they ever came back up. But also another character that first shows up here that is definitely a throwback to the 90s. Also shows up here in relation to the characters that I just mentioned. You know, and actually that character I still don't know. I mean, I know who it is, but I actually don't know, you know, if that character ever showed up in this version of Spider-Man like that. So I don't know. And of course, as we knew they were going to do with this, they are really dancing around that whole, hey, MJ's back, but we're not going to tell you right off the bat how she got back from what happened at the end of the show. But what they do get into is they kind of do get a little bit about some things that happened between her and Peter within the show, and basically try to address a thing that was pertinent between them from that, which of course Peter putting his foot in his mouth once again almost wrecks things. So you know how that goes before MJ does what MJ does. You know, and we also get see like the Molten Man, which I don't recall ever showed up in the book in the animated series. Maybe it did. I do not know. And some things going and a thing with Aunt Anna. So yeah, the book was packed with stuff back then. It's definitely making me want to go back and revisit the series, as I said when this was announced. Whether that's going to happen anytime soon before the next issue happens, we shall see. And with that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Alrighty, Kliqs of the week.
And yes, Von Gloom, that's exactly who was talking about with ThunderCat's loss. I'm not going to say it for folks who want to find that out for themselves. Oh, I didn't see. Hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't see. I just didn't see this other comment you made. D-Man, the world's greatest superhero babysitter, now that Agatha Harkness is evil. Yes, this is which actually we hadn't even seen them in that capacity, because that whole situation with Jessica and her, or is like wait, yeah, that was it. Jess and her son is still kind of out there, I guess, in a way. So, despite what, you know, never addressing it in West Coast Avengers. Anywho's, yeah, Molten Man is a character from the definitely from Marvel Comics, and I've seen him in places before, but I don't remember ever seeing him in that particular Spider-Man version of Spider-Man show. So that was, a weird reference. So don't know. But anyway, Kliqs of the week.
Yep. Kliqs of the week.
You got
I played it already, so here we go again.
Yeah. I was you didn't have to replay it, but yeah, I was gonna say, you got yours or you got your candidates?
I do, and I have my candidates. I'll just go through my candidates real quick. The big anniversary issues this week were all candidates for a Kliq of the week. Amazing Spider-Man number 11, which was Legacy number 975. Doctor Strange number 450. Was a candidate as well, as was Batman number 1 for DC, and Turtles number 11. It was a pretty strong week. I liked Batgirl. It wasn't quite a candidate, but it was, I wanted to just shout it out. It continued to be a pretty entertaining book. But for me, the clear pick for Kliq of the week was Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu number 12. It was just, there was something about it that just came off as being so strong to
me. Yep, indeed. Well, yes, Von Gloom, you're right. It did happen on D-Man's watch, but they really didn't, I guess that was purposeful, because what was he going to do about it? Because there was something actually going on with that whole situation to where he wasn't even around at the time, but we're not going to get into that right now. And you're right. When Agatha, but to be fair, she was also, she was also the nanny to a superpowered child. So just like D-Man was actually. So that's, things are going to happen.
Right.
That being said, though, for myself, definitely Turtles is a potential click of the week. There's the variant cover right there with April on the cover, which actually I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, April kind of is starting to come into hers with this. But what else was my other one? Avengers was good. You know, the way they get through, especially like I said, when they do the Avengers roll call with the whole the Lord of the Rings thing that Agent 70 was mentioning prior. That was pretty good. And actually, that I did also like Batgirl. Batgirl was actually pretty good, but that's probably not gonna make it for this one. So, and I did like Absolute Green Lantern definitely, but it's like that one kind of was like, wait, so we got answers. That's great, but now we got more questions, and I'm like, all right, so here we go. No, April can fight. That's the thing. She's got Casey's gear, while he was laid up, so she's kind of basically taking over the mantle, even though he just got out of the hospital. But yeah, she's kind of been taking up the mantle, so to speak. But my click, actually, you know what? I might as well go and say it. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 11. My click of the week for this week, actually. Nice. So, because I enjoyed it a lot. My apologies there for the bumping, unless I edited it out. But with that, folks, we are going to go into the news section. But first, an ad read.
Alrighty, our first ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news we do about this time. Jackie Chan's action team is advising the action on Marvel's Spider-Man's Brand New Day. And the star visited the set himself, said that the director was so excited, which, you know, hey, Jackie Chan. Who wouldn't be excited by that, right? Right. Let's see. So, here's the quote from Jackie Chan is, I went to London for a meeting and visited the set. Let's see. Then, yeah, they have Karate Kid, blah, blah, blah. My Jackie Chan stunt team was busy filming Spider-Man, and I was the action director for the Jackie Chan stunt team. I went to watch the rehearsals, and the director was so excited when he saw me. So, and then it goes through a whole bunch of other stuff that Jackie Chan has done, which if you don't know who Jackie Chan is at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Next up.
Who will save us from our heroes? Asks the trailer for Marvel Animation's new 4-episode series, Marvel Zombies, which is set to debut September 24th on Disney+. It starts with a warning that the following preview is rated TVMA, a nod to Marvel venturing into adult animation for the first time with the bloody new series. Okay.
Yeah, I hear Blade shows up, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, a lot of MCU stars are voicing their characters in these 4 episodes. That's pretty cool.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. They're calling him Blade Knight, not Blade, but it's a version of Blade. You get it. Anyway, and I was about to say, you know what? 4 episodes too many, but that's not fair. September 24th, folks, though. So we will probably end up talking about it, I would suppose. Next up, though, The Incredibles 3 finally has a release window, and that release window is 2028. Next up.
Tron and Tron Legacy get 4K remasters from Disney ahead of Tron Ares' release. Let's see here. The studio announced Saturday at its Destination D23 showcase in Orlando that both Tron 1982 and Tron Legacy from 2010 have been fully remastered and will be re-released September 16th on digital and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray Steelbook editions. Okay, the rest of this article is hidden to me. I don't know if there's a price in here.
Actually, I can, because it is not hidden to me. Sometimes you got to refresh it a couple times before it'll let you do it. But I don't see a. Yeah, no, actually, I don't see a price here.
Okay,
but it's
just double check.
Yeah, still book prices probably don't change that much, so it's probably gonna be like 30, 35, depending on the treatment. I was looking around if people are watching the video version. I was like, do I have a version of Tron Legacy? And I'm fairly certain I have a copy of Tron. That is for certain. But matter of fact, I see my version of Tron. But like, do I need another version of Tron? One, do I need a version of Tron Legacy? If I don't already have them. Therein lies the question. Find out if it gets answered in 2 weeks. Next up, though, Disney to pay $10 million for collecting children's data on YouTube. Yikes. The Federal Trade Commission alleged that Disney failed to designate videos on the platform as made for kids. That designation is meant to comply with federal law that protects kids from having their data collected and used for targeted advertisement. The FTC said in a statement that Disney will change its practices to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which requires parental consent for data collection for users under 13 years old. Also, $10 million drop in the bucket for Disney. Next up.
Alrighty. In the Peacemaker season 2 premiere, there's a scene that's set in an abandoned storefront labeled Krank's Toys, Krank, and it's not a real brand, but it does have some DC Universe history behind it. The cartoon series The Batman, which premiered in 2004, featured the villain Cosmo Crank, aka the Toy Maker, played or voiced by Patton Oswalt, and that is the former owner of Krank's Toys turned super villain. So yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting Easter egg. I watched The Batman. I would not have picked up on that one though.
I heard tell that The Batman was actually pretty good, better than folks thought initially. So there are fans out there of, but I never really did. I think I probably watched an episode. I was like, I'll come back, and never did. Next up,
I mean, they produced 5 seasons of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it went a minute. So, but yeah, like I said, never did partake. James Gunn confirms that he's still working on Viola Davis-led Amanda Waller series. So yeah, I'd actually forgotten that this was a thing. But speaking to people in a recent interview, Gunn confirmed that he and Peter Safran were still working on the show. The quote is, "We're working on it, so we'll see what happens. Some things have moved faster than others. Waller's not the fastest, but I can't wait to see Viola put on her Waller pants again."
Oh no.
Yeah. So there is that. Yeah, next up.
So apparently the Goonies sequel is moving in the right direction as the writer gives an update on its status. That the writer is Potsy. Goodness gracious. Potsy Poncheroli. Wow. Speaking during a deadline-moderated Winston Baker panel at the Venice Film Festival, Poncheroli was asked about the status of the movie and said, "I have turned in a first draft, which was very well received, and he's on a second draft, and he's about 95% done with that. So they're moving in the right direction." Wow. Okay. We obviously don't have a timeline, but
right.
making positive movement.
Right. But also, if you, being a certain vintage like me, when you heard the name Potsy, thought of Happy Days, you're in good company.
Well, I mean, Poncherelli kind of rings a different pop culture reference bell, also.
Right, chips. But
Yeah.
so, but still, yeah. But I'm just saying, it's right off the bat. Von Gloom asked if there was the funky four-eyed alien, a Damonite in Peacemaker, and I don't know because we haven't watched this week's episode, and I don't remember last week's. So, and yes, you mentioned, and Von Gloom mentions Goonies 30 years later. You forget Tron, which we just remembered, was also 33-year difference between the original and the sequel. So, I'm just saying.
Right.
It's a thing that happens. It's a thing that happens. Star Trek fans think the Borg created this villain, but Discovery quietly confirmed another origin. So this is kind of a spoiler, I guess, for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I just had to put this in here because this is funny. So if you are any type of Trekker or Trekkie, whatever the hell you want to call them, and you've watched at the very least Star Trek the motion picture, the name V'ger would mean something to you. And later on, thinking where the Borg comes in Star Trek Next Generation, you could see where you could put the two together, kinda, if you're that kind of a thinker. But and honestly, that is that is the headcanon that I'm going to stick with until I hear otherwise, and or see this episode. But yeah, apparently in the latest episode, they touched on that whole possibility of V'ger and what happens. I guess what happened to that boy, in the words of Birdman. So yeah. Von Gloom says he was in the first episode, the alien that dumped dead cat. Oh, that I didn't know what the hell that was. I got you. So Von Gloom mentions the first episode of Peacemaker, which
I'm gonna have to circle back and take a look at that.
Yeah, I do remember that part, and I remember that, but I had no idea who the hell that alien is. Again, DC knowledge is not that great, so I wouldn't have recommended that.
Well, no, the Damonite is actually a crossover from Wildstorm.
Well, still.
That was from right, but the point is that actually crossed over from Wildcats.
Right.
Like when Wildstorm, was bought by DC. That I guess that particular alien race and villain, I believe, crossed over. So,
I guess what makes sense. You got the engineer,
mm-hmm.
who, if I'm not mistaken, is also a crossover, from what I understand.
Yeah, that is definitely Wildstorm.
So
that was the Authority,
right? Which I've been meaning to actually read that book. I don't remember if that was on our because it wasn't. Actually, it might have been on our Evergreen stuff. But regardless, next up,
YouTube says that it has inked and expanded. Yeah, this is a little older news, but it's still welcome news. YouTube says that it has inked an expanded partnership with the nonprofit behind the show Sesame Street, which is Sesame Workshop, which will make YouTube the largest digital library of Sesame Street content available, including hundreds of classic episodes. This partnership is going to begin in the fruits of this partnership are going to show in January 2026, not too far from today.
Right. Yeah. I just saw this because this article came out today, so I didn't know that was the thing that was in. I know they had been working on putting Sesame Street in other places, and I thought the last place they were either looking, and actually I even said here, it's Netflix. I knew Netflix was a part of that whole situation too, but I thought that was just it, and didn't know about the YouTube part of it. Regardless, we get into anime news with some news that Von Gloom might be appreciative of, if I'm not mistaken. Toonami's. Oh, going to play something for Anime Corner. Toonami's most popular mech, I don't know about that, but sure, has returned. So we're talking about Big O. Yes, Von Gloom, Big O is back. So yes, for those that did not know, Big O was a mecha anime that created by Sunrise, the same people that brought you Mobile Suit Gundam, even though it is not a part of the Gundam, nowhere near the Gundam universe. This article kind of goes into the history of that. But actually, this looks like this is video game news, so this is technically not anime news. So that was, but I put it here anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yes, so the video game Super Robot Wars, the previous version was X, and this is the new version Y, has Big O in it now. And if you don't know about that particular video game, it's a mecha. I think it's a mecha fighting game, but there's also been other like Gundams and stuff in it. So, at least in the previous iteration of it. So, I guess it shouldn't be surprised that Big O's here. So, hopefully that's not disappointing. But at the same time, hey, at least you get some Big O somewhere. Which actually, Big O wasn't a terrible show. It wasn't. It seemed a little, I guess, loose, not finished. Yeah, I guess that's kind of harsh, but yeah. And it didn't last. It wasn't that long, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Big O. That's a thing. Actually, it did finish technically, but whatever. So yeah, Big O's in a video game. Catch it. Next up.
Alrighty. It was announced that by the official Spy X family or Spy Family accounts, that the third season of the continuing adaptation of the manga of the same name, Spy Family, by Tetsuya Endo will premiere on October 4th. Not so far away now, folks.
Yep, not far away at all. Actually, I think I might need to catch up with the second season because I don't remember if I actually watched the whole of it. I remember watching part of it, but I don't think I watched the rest of it. But yeah, always good to see the Forgers.
Borf!
Huh? Yes, and Borf.
I said
of course.
Borf.
Yes, of course. Bond, excuse me. But yes. Yeah, Von Gloom. Spy Family did have a long break, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was cut in half. They had that last season was cut in half, if I'm not mistaken. So, and also what you said. Big O lost you during the last season and the trip ending. Yeah, that was a thing. That's right. It did go 2 seasons. When is Frieren returning? I think we might have covered that last week, but I'm not sure. So unless we have, I don't think we have anything on that. Agent 70 added it to his list though, so
I did.
So he might be on it. And Dungeon Meshi, I don't know because I hadn't heard anything about that one. But next up
is you.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was you. Tadatoshi Fujimaki's Kill Blue manga ends and gets a TV anime. So let's see. Yeah, apparently Kill Blue, the manga, is getting a television anime in 2026. Let's see what this is actually about. According to this update in this article, this will be the first television series for which Q is serving as the main animation production studio. So yeah, I don't think I've heard of them, but let's see. They were talking about the manga ending and when the last couple of volumes of that is happening. And when the manga first launched, which was April 2023, and here we go. Jujo Ogami is a legend, even among hitmen. His name sends shivers down spines. There's never been a job he couldn't handle. That is, until the day he wakes up as a teenager. You know, that old chestnut. What's up, Detective Conan? But how has this body transformed? I wonder if this is in that same universe. That would be funny. To find out, he'll have to infiltrate the one place he thought he'd never find himself again, school. So yeah, kind of sounds like the Detective Conan, which is funny. Von Group says he's never heard of that one. I guess it's a manga about Bloods killing Crips in Japan, which is kind of funny considering we had a Bloods and Crips reference earlier in the show. Don't come at us. Next up, though.
Alrighty, One Punch Man Season 3 has set an official premiere date by dropping key visual and teaser previews, which previews a new opening theme song, Get No Satisfied, by Jam Project with Baby Metal. The anime will release on October 5th, 2025. The early part of October is going to be jam-packed with new anime dropping.
As tends to happen. So, yep. We will be eating good, as the kids would say. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle releases electrifying visual of Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, excuse me, sorry. Of course, this comes out next week. Agent 70 will be going to check out the movie. I probably will not.
Oh, that's too bad.
Or at least not anytime soon, from the way it's looking right now. But nevertheless, enjoy this. If you're watching the video version, more serious look at Zenitsu. And there you go. And there's the poster right there. If you're watching the video version, yeah, can't wait to check it out though. Whenever that happens, whenever I get a chance to. Next up, though.
Alrighty. Next up is Solo Leveling anime gets a surprise production update. So apparently, let's see. So per South Korean business outlet The Bell, video game developer Netmarble has reportedly made a 2 billion won, which equals or is approximately $1.45 million. In an investment in Solo Leveling's animation production committee. Netmarble's investment at the end of the second quarter has secured the company a 20% stake in the anime series. The animation production committee for Solo Leveling, let's see, originally owned by DNC Media, also includes major players like Sony and Piccoma. So let's see here. What does this mean? So the new investment fuels speculation on Solo Leveling Season 3. So that the idea is that the investment is probably a strategic move to ensure the continuation of the popular anime series. Okay.
Yep, and Netmarble being a mobile video game developer, Netmarble probably more Solo Leveling video games if they have nothing to do with one that's currently out there. So yeah, and that was a weird thing. It was like, why is Netmarble doing this? But yeah, this seems weird. Either way, we get over into some comic book news. Dynamite turns to Kickstarter for Sue Lee's Wizard of Oz adaptation. So yeah, the Kickstarter, does it say when the Kickstarter starts? Oh. Well, let's see. It looks like it's in, hold on, how old was this? No, this was from a couple of days ago. It looks as though the adaptation is going to be in stores on September 17th. So, oh yeah, it is now out from Amazon at the end of the month, but Dynamite Entertainment is launching the Kickstarter to help get it published. Excuse me, Dynamite CEO Nick Barucci says that Sue Lee, quote, has written and drawn a stunning adaptation of the timeless classic for the comics medium with her own stylings and flourishes. The OG and is nothing but short of stunning, and to reach a larger audience, we're launching this on Kickstarter. The 100-plus page book page new vision of the story will be available in multiple editions and extras, nearly all offered initially or exclusively through the campaign on Kickstarter. So interesting way to go about it, but that has been happening here and there. Next up,
Panthro stars in his first solo ThunderCats one-shot from Ed Brisson and Dave Acosta. That's going to be out in November 2025. The extra-sized issue follows Panthro battling monstrous threats during a rare solo adventure on Third Earth. So there's going to be a bunch of other ThunderCats books, ThunderCats number 22 and ThunderCats Lost, number 9 coming out in November. And yeah, expect more ThunderCats content coming out in the near future from Dynamite.
of course, you gotta bust out that license any way you can, right? So, early preview of Star Trek Voyager Homecoming #1, which came out this week. Actually, and I didn't get a chance to check it out. But yeah, if you're interested in what that book has to offer, also that Red Shirts book came out. The second issue of that Red Shirts book came out this weekend. I didn't get a chance to check it out. As well as actually, while we're at it, that that Imperial War Exiles book came out this week, and neither one of us actually got a chance to check that out. So that's a thing. But yeah, the first issue of Star Trek Voyager Homecoming came out this week, amongst other things that I've already mentioned. And yeah, if you're like, if the name doesn't imply what's going on and you're enough of a Star Trek fan, I don't know what to know what happened at the end of Voyager. I don't know what to tell you, but nevertheless, yeah, this seems like what they got into when they finally got home at the end of season 7 of Voyager. So therein lies that. Panthro has shorts, if I'm not mistaken. Vine Gloom. I don't know about pants. Maybe that was one of the. I didn't really pay that close of attention, but I believe he's got shorts. Next up, though,
a brand new independent comic book company, Summit Comics, will be joining the list of superhero shared universes next year. The comic book company is made up of a group of independent comic book creators who have raised between them over $500,000 in crowdfunding for their various projects over the years, and now they're going to be working together as part of the Summit universe. Okay, good luck, guys.
yeah, indeed. I don't know too many of these names that are involved in this, but like Agent 7 said, good luck. Good luck to you. Remember what happened with Ironforge and their shared universe, which actually had some promise, honestly, but that was a whole situation. Not situation, but that was a whole other thing. The 32 competitors in DC's KO fighting to be King Omega. So yeah, we have, at least according to this article, what we believe to be who's all going to be in that event squaring off on each other. And it is an interesting mix of those who you think would expect to be on top and some street level folks. I say this again, if they don't do something with this in Injustice 3, or something similar to this within Injustice 3, which you would think would have been Injustice period, before they did what they did with it, or at least as they did what they did with it, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I'm not going to read off all of these names. If you're reading the video version, you can see who it is. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some people that are not a surprise, but I'm kind of surprised to not see like Nightwing, you know? But I guess it would be, too repetitive with, literally 3 generations of Robin.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say there's a lot of Batfolk in this already, and some would argue they don't really have that much of a chance in this thing. But we don't know. Also, don't know the whole, premise behind this, like whether there's going to be a leveling field or not. But yeah, so a bunch of folks, and that's, I guess we'll check it out. I don't know. And apparently, yeah, DCKO stands for King Omega, because that whole, I can't imagine what that has to do anything to do with. Next up, though.
Alrighty, DC has unveiled a major new Wonder Woman villain. Apparently, this has been over 2 years in the making, co-created by one of James Gunn's top new writers. Let me open this article. So, meet Matriarch, the new DC Big Bad, foretold to kill Wonder Woman and almost all the Amazons. Okay.
If you're watching the video version, you can see the character, a picture of the character, which at first blush kind of looks like a symbiote, or at least like, I'm like, did you take this from King Null and just made his wife, and that didn't work out for some reason?
Maybe. Yeah, Matriarch is a new villain announced in August who will debut in September's Wonder Woman number 25.
Yeah. So, and I guess since that other bad guy that she had at the beginning of this thing was the thing, I guess it makes sense that there's a matriarch now or something. Either way, Fine Gloom says, I'm going to read this. Guess the bat stands got to look elsewhere for some tick.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
But there you go. Next up, though. Batman is teaming up with the deadliest Kryptonian of all time. That is for spoilers for Superman 29. Which is that out? It says a preview, but I assume this has probably been out by now. It mentions some stuff going on in. Oh no, actually, yeah. So yeah, this basically mentions something we talked about in Justice League and Unlimited. So, but it says here that yeah, maybe some more time traveler action going on for Superman's, which I can't imagine he being all right with that. But I guess you're gonna do what you got to do. Oh no, he's teaming up with Superboy Prime, but this article is talking about Time Trapper. So yeah, if you're reading Superman, you probably already know about that. But if not, next up.
Okay. Let's see. So this is a preview of Star Wars Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon #1. This is written by Rodney Barnes with art by Ramon Rosales. It's going to be 32 pages and out on September 3rd, 2025. Yeah, this is some solicitation stuff.
Yeah, also didn't get a chance for this book.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is, what's that?
I said I also didn't get a chance to read this book because that came out this week.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So that's the only reason why this is even in here. But if anybody was interested, hey, there you go.
All right. Well, it's on the stands this week.
According to this article, an exciting new era of X-Men storytelling starts very soon. So, and this has to do with X-Men Age of Revelation Overture #1. Let's see, from the creative team of Jed MacKay and Ryan Stegman, kicks off the overall Age of Revelation storyline, as each of Marvel's current X-Men titles will be revamped into a title set 10 years into the future, where yada yada yada, Age of Apocalypse, but not really. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yada yada yada, but you know, if you've been around a while, you've kind of heard of it. But at the same time, we'll be probably checking this out, I would imagine. But yeah, and it goes into a little, I guess, something Jed MacKay said about the project when he was interviewed recently, which, you know what, you can read for yourself in the show notes. Next up.
All right, the first pages from Marvel's Fantastic Four and Gargoyles #1 are apparently everything a fan of of both franchises could hope for. Okay. Yeah, you can check out these first few pages in this article. And yeah, talk about taking advantage of being owned by Disney, right? Marvel crossing over with Gargoyles.
Synergy. Also, funny enough, there was, some would argue, a Gargoyles reference in this week's Birds of Prey, which I forgot to mention earlier. But there is definitely something that you could say was could be a reference to that. But yeah, Fantastic Four Gargoyles goes on sale on October 15th. I'm actually looking forward to checking that out. More Marvel Muppets variant covers are on the way. Let's see. So we're getting books for, and this is for October. So it's getting stuff for Amazing Spider-Man 13, Venom, Amazing Spider-Man Torn, Avengers 31, more Spider-Man, Captain America #4, Battleworld #2, Fantastic Four #4, and I think that just pretty much. Oh, Spider-Man and Wolverine also is getting a variant cover. It's only a couple of there's only a couple of images in this article, but I do like that Secret Wars one. That is also my favorite character, so that's pretty good. But if you're watching the video version, you can see them for yourself, or check it out in the article. Next up.
Alrighty, I'll pull this up shortly. I did see this. Marvel Unlimited announces a Spider-Woman symbiote Marvel Legends figure that's part of the incentive to re-up with the biggest with the highest priced annual plus membership. And you get some other stuff too, in the membership kit, the limited edition membership kit. Let's see here. We have a list here. Let's see. You get a limited edition. Well, no, it doesn't actually list what's in it. But yeah, no. This article is focused on this new symbiote Spider-Woman.
Yeah, no, you see stuff down at the bottom.
Oh, you're making me scroll.
So it's not that long of an article, so.
So you get a One World Under Doom #6, Betsy Cola variant comic, a Fantastic Four Road Trip Ben Sue lithograph, Fantastic Four Day commemorative pin, Fantastic Four mission patch. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you get invites and access to Marvel events and 10% off Marvel merchandise and more at the Disney Store.
Yeah. Yep. The figure and
probably not a sponsor, but definitely a tool.
Exactly. If you're interested, the Spider-Woman figure and probably the pins for those who like to collect pins would probably be the draws there. But yeah. Hasbro Marvel Legends series Spider-Man 77 movie collectible 6-inch action figure is available again at Walmart. So that was a mouthful, but hey, we got it out there. Apparently, as this article says, if you're if yours was recently canceled, I'm assuming your pre-order, now may be a good time to try again. So, and it is unknown if this is a regional listing or not, according to this article. So there you go. If you're watching the video version, you can see the Spider-Man 77 figure. Excuse me. And
yeah, my nostalgia for that is not that strong. It's not strong enough. We'll put it that way. So, I'm okay with not getting that one. I'm good with the multiple Spider-Man I have.
Yeah, but mine is, but I am not that big of a figure collector at this point to drop down on it. Unless I happen to go into Walmart and see it and be like, you know what, sure, why not? But yeah, it probably won't happen. So now, if you had Spider-Man, Japanese Spider-Man, we might be talking, even though it's not that much different.
That exists. Yeah, that exists. It's out there.
Yeah, but I haven't come across it anywhere. So that's next up, though. Oh no, that's you.
All right,
that's you.
Let's see. No, exactly. I'm trying to find all of the particular details for this story, like pricing, release dates, etc., etc. All right. So Sentinel reveals a new Iron Man Hulkbuster figure in their popular Marvel Fighting Armor series. The Hulkbuster suit is built to battle the Hulk's immense power. This particular die-cast figure boasts heavy articulation, detailed metallic paint, and a revealable Iron Man cockpit. You know this is going to be expensive if it's die-cast.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-orders are live now, including an exclusive edition Hulkbuster with a special bonus head accessory. Now I'm curious. I'm going to click on the link to see what these pre-orders are going for.
$169.20.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Oh, actually, excuse me. I'm sorry. No,
US
back up.
dollars, $179. Okay.
Right. I was about to say, yeah, that was their price. Is $179 is the
That's
MSRP.
not terrible. Listen, if you're a real, if this floats your boat, that's not the worst price to pay.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, it's not a bad looking figure.
Listen,
honestly.
it's die cast. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I know,
It's die cast. You have to keep in mind that anything with that much of a metal structure is going to be expensive.
As Optimus Primal said, it's a lost art. But yes, Von Gloom, Spider-Man, the Messenger from Hell, which is this always gets me. So it's funny. How to sign up for the Marvel Token Fighting Souls closed beta? Well, you know what? There's a link here in this article if you don't already know about it, but it's a closed beta and there's details for it that emerged from last month. Or actually at this point, probably a couple of months now. No, it's from, this is a recent article. But let's see. The closed beta will have 6 player characters, 3 locations set in New York, of course. 64 player lobby featuring chibi Marvel avatars in spectator mode. And it is the same 6 characters that we saw when it was first announced, that being Captain America, Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Star-Lord, Storm, and Doctor Doom that are playable. The New York locations are City Center, Avengers Park, and Hell's Kitchen. So there you go. And like I said, the particulars on how to sign up if you're interested are down here on the page. I won't go into it, but PlayStation, you know what to do. Next up.
Alrighty. Well, we still have almost a year to wait for season 2 of X-Men 97 on Disney Plus. In the meantime, fans can get some 90s peak era X-Men merchandise. This is little people sets of the X-Men. Look at this. Look at this.
Adorbs, right?
Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Gambit. That's just pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. If you're watching the video version,
you can get them for $25.
Yeah,
they're available to order from the Mattel Creation site. They already started on September 3rd.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad. And like I said, if this is a set that interests little cheapy versions of the X folks, it's cute, very cute. New K-pop Demon Hunter collectibles will have you ready to seal your Hanmoon. I still don't know what that means, but I'm sure Agent 70 is.
Roddykat is just fighting the urge.
Yeah, no, I'm not having. It's been a lot going on. But yeah, as expected, K-pop Demon Hunters have Funko Pops now. So there's Rumi, there's Mira, and there's Zoe. No ramen bowl, apparently, unless there's one in there somewhere, but I don't think this is this is Funko Pop. They would have it already in hand. So, but yeah, they are now becoming. I mean, again, this is inevitable. It was going to get a Funko Pop if they were going to get anything else, but there's other stuff that's coming.
I was about to say there's more stuff. There has to be more stuff coming.
Yeah, there's absolutely going to be more stuff coming. So that shouldn't even be a question. But of course, like I said, Funko Pop was going to lead the charge. List price of $14.99, and they're available for pre-order on Funko's site and third-party outlets. They are scheduled to arrive on January 30th, 2026. Next up.
007 First Light has set a release date of March 27th, 2026 as part of an extensive look at gameplay during a Sony State of Play deep dive. IOI's James Bond adventure launches then across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. So this is 007 First Light. You get a official gameplay deep dive video.
Yeah, I was able to watch a little bit of it, and I had meant to circle back and watch the rest because something else came up. But if you're a video game player and you know the Hitman series that IO's done, there is definitely a little bit of Hitman in this, but it's not to the extent of what you would have initially thought, given their pedigree. But like I said, there's enough in there that's like, yeah, this looks like it's gonna be pretty good. So
Yeah, I love how none of these characters are appear to be really based on any of the movie actors because of obviously licensing issues.
correct. Yeah, in fact, they're definitely going with a kind of a James Bond year one or year zero type situation going on from what I gathered from the first look or from the deep dive and other things. So it's definitely a young James Bond before, you know, before he got famous situation.
Right. So the game costs $69.99 for the basic version. Deluxe edition costs $79.99, and the super fancy Legacy edition will be available for $299.
Mm-hmm. As you know, per usual at this sadly at this point. And speaking of that, we get to find out, and actually you might have seen it in that last article, but we know who is voicing James Bond, and it is Patrick Gibson, who, according to this article, has appeared in shows like Dexter, Original Sin, Shadow and Bone, and the OA. Or the OA. I was about to call it like, you mean that they did another Green Lantern thing? Or this is, I'm sure that's probably something not that. But, yeah, so that's who it. I wasn't able to place the voice when I heard him on the thing, but I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. Not bad for a young James Bond. So there you go. Next up, though.
All right, Transformers new reveals are coming September 5th, including Missing Link, Dramatic Capture, and some exclusives. So, yeah, Takara's Tomi's SNS confirms the official reveals, pre-order dates for the new T-Spark Transformers that will be listed on September 5th, 2025. So there's some previews here of Missing Link Ultra Magnus, Dramatic Capture series Decepticons Part 2, including Seeker Skywarp with Insecticons, Bombshell, Kickback, and Shrapnel. There's a bunch of stuff here on this page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is some folks. I found it funny that they had Perceptor with Ratbat and Ramhorn when that's who neither one of them go together like that. But that was just, me thinking like I was thinking. Next up, though, this is funny. Transformers get first official perfume series for G1 fans who want to roll out and freshen up. First of all, boo on that title, but you know what? Good on you for trying. So yeah, produced by Fairy Tale Parfum, the new Transformers Eau de Parfum series combines the aesthetic of G1 Generation 1 with a scent signature that will take wearers to Cybertron and back. Based on the faction leaders of the Autobots and Decepticons, as well as particularly an electric enemy of all electronics, the series of aromatics will give fans the touch. They're really going for it here. The power and a classy smell that lasts for hours. Let's see. As the first official fragrance to roll out for the franchise, it also comes 1 year after one of the series' biggest milestones, according to this article. So yeah, Transformers got watches. Why not perfume? Because it doesn't make any kind of doggone sense. That's why. Von Gloom says, "Ooh, Lord, I will be rolling deep in the fembots when I hit BotCon this year."
Oh, there you go.
So silly. But yeah, you can see the box right there. There's the Optimus Prime box. There's the Megatron box. There's the Crimzeek. Lord, they made a Crimzeek for Energon. Okay, there you go. And so a set with one of each. The Matrix of Leadership diffuser. Dear Lord. That's funny. Part of me, I don't wear cologne or whatnot, but I really would like to. What the hell would this even smell like? And to be honest, I'm slightly allergic to strong perfume, so if it's Yeah, that would be a problem. But I'm curious, very curious. Not gonna seek it out, but I'm curious. Yep, Crimzeek. Next up, though.
SH Figure Arts Mace Windu from Star Wars Episode 3 has arrived, will arrive, with an updated sculpt and digital coloring. The figure is going to stand 6 inches tall and features multiple hands, 2 facial expressions, and 2 lightsabers. It includes a removable wired fabric robe for dynamic display options, straight from Revenge of the Sith. Pre-orders launch soon in Japan, with a US release slated for March 2026 for Star Wars collectors. So SH Figure Arts figures are generally not on the cheaper side. These are they're not hot toys, but they're definitely of a higher quality than Marvel Legends, for example, or Star Wars, or G.I. Joe Classified, or Star Wars Black. So be prepared to pay quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Not a bad looking Sam Jack there, though, if you're interested. And yes, Von Gloom, I also watched that episode a couple of times in the last few days because it seemed like every other time I turned on Pluto TV, it was on. So you are not the only one who's seen it recently. That's kind of funny, talking about Crimzeek. But next up, Darth Vader clashes with the Emperor in a brand new story, Star Wars story, excuse me. So it is a novel called Master of Evil by Adam Christopher. In Master of Evil, fans will get to see more of the early days of Darth Vader, his quest to conquer death itself, and the new burgeoning galactic empire. In this article has an excerpt from Penguin Random House that you can check out at your leisure if you feel so inclined. And the novel will be released November 11th. So there you go for you Star Wars novel fans. Next up, and lastly,
let's see. This auction, I don't know if this auction happened already.
happening actually from what
That's right. So it's set to take place over the course of September 4th through 6th. Darth Vader's lightsaber is among items being sold during a memorabilia auction over these few days. This article talks about how Darth Vader's lightsaber found the auctioneers as opposed to the auctioneers finding the lightsaber, but they were able to authenticate it, and that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like there was some other stuff, like some of Luke's gear, from X-Wing gear specifically, and some other stuff. And it's not only that; it's like some Pirates of the Caribbean stuff also. So yeah, sure.
Yeah, some Ghostbuster stuff as well. So yeah, you can take a look to see what's what's available for auction. Some of it's not as expensive as you think. Some of it is like starting price is like $200.
Right. So, and yeah, as we're recording this, it is the first day of that auction, which is September 4th to the 6th, is going on. So if you catch this within the next couple of days, or you caught us live and you're interested in that and you don't already know about it, hey, good luck.
I was about to say, you may not be able to collect on your Powerball winnings fast enough, but you can always buy it from the secondary market.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, Indiana Jones's whip is also in this too, which, you know what? Hey, you can find a comparable whip, but why not have the real thing? Yeah. And that, folks, is it for the news section. We got one last ad read.
I'm actually scrolling through it now. I'm like, oh, okay, that's some interesting movies they choose. Oh, look at this! You can get hand-drawn animation for Airwolf. Because they did have to hand draw some of the animation to show the things that a helicopter really isn't supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Of course. So, actually, I'm not even seeing where you guys see that link from, because I don't see a link to it here. But either way,
you just Google prop store auction. Not that I'm advertising them, but yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sure.
All right, are we good?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you.
All righty. So our last ad read of the night is to help keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
I see they have Daniel Craig's watching Gun from Casino Royale in this auction. Interesting. Anywho, folks, that is it for this week's show. We will be back next week with another show. As I know you'll be breathlessly anticipating that. And yeah, like I said, we'll talk about Peacemaker episode 3. And if by some chance the show has to take a day off or something, we'll get to episode 4 maybe. I don't know, but don't count on that. So we'll be back next Thursday, unless something happens. But I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_7 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can find the show on the Cold Slaughter podcast. Excuse me. Well, you definitely can. But you can find the Comic Book Chronicles on Blue Sky. But you can also find the Cold Slaughter podcast. Come find us on the Cold Slaughter Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can find us also on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple, iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slaughter Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. And of course, if you want to catch us live, you can, come by every Thursday night, 9:30, probably closer to 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/TheKliqNation. That's KLIQNATION. And also twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
All righty. That, you can click like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when we're on live. Smash that like button. And, you can join us live when we broadcast.
Indeed. And speaking of joining us live, appreciate you, Von Gloom, from coming through, and also Benji Games too from popping in earlier. Appreciate you. Anytime you gents and other people who may be lurking, we appreciate it. And anybody else who might be lurking when we were recording. So, unless there's a comic or sci-fi movie out, unless there's a comic or sci-fi movie out that Thursday, then it might be the following day. We've rarely have to skip a week. It would have to be something real serious before that happens, or because, which happened.
Or we're out of town.
Well, that kind of situation. Or, one of us, if one of us is out of town, that somebody else could do the show. That's not a thing. If so inclined, I should say. But there's not really that many times where we've had to skip whole weeks in recent history that I can think of. So if we have to go on movie protocol, or something like that, or some, heaven forbid happens, then that's usually when things again get pushed. So, but that being said, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?